All right, people. So this is section 2.4, and we are doing to get started on page 130. Here we go. Use the graph of y equals 3x minus 6 to solve the equation. Okay. Now, guys, in here, you are given the graph already of y equals 3x minus 6, which is this one. It already gives you the line, right? So um, the question is, how do you find the answer from this? Now, even if you were to solve this, you will see that the answer would be x equals 2 because that is a two-step equation. 3x minus 6 is 0. 3x is equal to 6. X is equal to 2. Right? How do you find that in the graph? In this graph, the answer is given by this x-intercept. The x-intercept is defined as that point where your graph crosses the x-axis. That point is going to have the coordinates to 0. And the x value here, which is the x-intercept, is the answer. What it means is that at the point 2, 0, the value of x is 2, which would make the equation have a value of 0 for the y, if that makes sense. Okay, let's move on. For the next one, y equals negative 2x plus 8 is the graph that they gave, which is this one. If you're going to use that to find the answer to this equation, again, it is a two-step equation. I leave that for you to do. You will see that x is equal to 4. And where do you find the answer in the graph? Same thing. This point is the point 4, 0, which is also called the x-intercept. And the x value is the answer. Okay? So let us continue with the construct your understanding. I have the two um, radicals here. It wants you to first create a table of values for the first one right here, and then graph it over here, and then use that graph to solve the equation. Okay? Now, I will just quickly give you the numbers. You can try it yourself. If these are the values of x, okay, for this function, if x is 2, y is 0. If x is 3, y is about 1.7. If x is 4, y is about 2.4. If x is 5, y is about 3. If x is 6, y is about 3.5. All right? Now let us graph that. If x is 2, y is 0. This is your first point right here, right? If x is 3, y is 1.7, so maybe somewhere here. If x is 4, y is about 2.4, so somewhere probably here. If x is 5, y is 3, right here. And if x is 6, y is about 3.5 right here. And then we can connect them, so we could create it's not a perfect curve, but more or less that's what it is. And here the answer is given by this x-intercept, which is again the point 2, 0. And it says to solve the equation root of 3x minus 6 is equal to 0. That means for the root of 3x minus 6 equals 0, the graph shows that the x-intercept is going to occur at x equals 2. That's why that is the answer. Okay. Next one, y equals root of negative 2x plus 8. So let's create the values first. If x is negative 4, y is 4. If x is negative 2, y is about 3.5. If x is 0, y is about 2.8. If x is 2, y is about 2. If x is 4, y is 0. All right, well, let's graph those values. If x is negative 4, y is 4. All right, So somewhere here. If x is -2, y is 3.5. So probably somewhere here. If x is 0, y is 2.8. Maybe somewhere here. Okay. If x is 2, y is 2. If x is 4, y is 0. And then let us make that little curve going that way. It's not perfect, but it is a curve, okay, going that way. So as you can see, the answer is given by the x-intercept. Therefore, to solve the equation, negative or root of -2x plus 8 is equal to 0. The x-intercept occurs at x equals 4, and that is the answer. Okay, makes sense? Page 131. A radical function is a function that contains only a radical expression. These two are radical functions because they have radical expressions. There's the radical and there's a radicand inside. Okay, there's a math expression inside. This is the typical root or radical function that you would see that is called the parent function. Okay, the parent function is where all of the other functions started. This is the basic one. All the other ones that you will do is just a transformation of that. So a different function can be probably sort of higher or sort of lower or um, going the other way or flipped over, all of which are really the same thing, okay, except that it goes the other way. A radical equation is an equation with at least one radical whose radicand contains a variable. The radical equation would be when it is made equal to something, and then you will have to solve for the value of the variable. The solution to the radical equation is called a root. The solution, which is a root, will also be found at that point where it is the x-intercept. Therefore, when I say what is the x-intercept, I am also referring to the root of the equation. There is also another name for it as we continue. All right. In fact, there are four other names for it. So just read through this in here. This, if you are going to be looking at this one, which has this graph, if the question is, what is the root of this equation? So how do you compare it to this one? Instead of y equals root of x plus 4, it becomes root of x plus 4 is 0. The root is the x-intercept, right? Same goes for the next one. The x-intercept of a graph of a radical function is also called the zero of the function. So as you can see, the x-intercept is called the zero of the function. It is also called the root of the equation. It is also referred to as the answer, right? Okay. Because kids would just say, oh, it's the answer. When in fact, what kids are actually talking about is that it is the zero of the function, or it is the root, or it is the x-intercept. As you can see, there are different ways to solve radical equations graphically. Okay. So this is the end of the construct your understanding. You may take a break before I go on to check your understanding number 1. Bye. All right.